Chapter 13, Mishnah 1. We learned above that corpse tuma spreads from one area to another through an opening the size of a tefach square. We learned this in Chapter 3, Mishnah 6. This Mishnah teaches us that there are three types of openings that have different sizes for allowing tuma to spread through them. The first type of opening: if someone makes a new hole in a wall for light. The size of hole that allows tuma to pass through it to the other side is the size of the hole made by the large drill kept in the temple chamber. This is much smaller than a square tefach. The second type of opening: what remains from a large hole made for light that was in the process of being closed up must have the height of 2 fingers by the width of a thumb to allow tuma to spread through it. This is larger than the hole mentioned in the previous case, but still less than a tefach square. This is what is considered the remains of a hole made for light, a window that someone began to seal but was unable to finish sealing. The first two openings listed by the Mishnah were man-made openings. The third type of opening is one that comes about through natural causes and is not man-made. If the hole was formed by water leaking through a wall or by shiratzim picking away at it, or if salt in the ground ate away at the wall and made a hole in it, its size must be the size of a large fist for tuma to pass through it. This is larger than a tefach square. A hole that came about through natural processes requires the largest measure of all because it was not made by a person. The Mishnah now discusses what happens when people take advantage of this natural hole and designate it for some specific use. If a person had in mind to use this hole for general purposes, for example, for storage, or as a way of passing things from one room to the next, the hole needs to be only the size of a tefach square for tuma to pass through it. If he had in mind to use the naturally formed hole as a hole for letting in light, the hole needs to be only the size of the hole made by the large drill kept in the temple chamber for tuma to pass through it. The Mishnah now discusses an opening made up of many small holes that add up to the required size. In the case of grills that cover the windows of storehouses and slat screens that cover the windows of summer houses, their holes can combine to make up the size of the hole of the temple drill, according to the opinion of Beis Shammai. These windows were made for light, therefore a hole the size of the one made by the temple drill allows tuma to pass through it. According to Beis Shammai, even if none of the individual holes in the grill or screen is this size, all the holes in the grill or screen can be combined to form this measure and allow tuma to pass through them. But Beis Hillel say tuma does not spread through the grill or screen unless there is a hole the size of the temple drill in one place, that is, in one hole. Smaller holes do not combine to make up this measure. The Mishnah now returns to the general rules it taught for windows at the beginning of this Mishnah. The Mishnah said that there were 3 different measurements for allowing tuma to spread through a window, in addition to the standard measurement of a tefach square. The Mishnah now states what these measurements apply to. All the window sizes mentioned in the first part of the Mishnah bring in tuma, i.e. allow it to enter from an adjacent ohel, and allow tuma to go out from a house into an adjacent ohel. The next Tana disagrees with all the earlier measurements. Rabbi Shimon disagrees and says both to bring tuma into the house from an adjacent ohel and to allow tuma to go out from a house into an adjacent ohel, the size of the hole needs to be a tefach square for tuma to pass through it. Rabbi Shimon disagrees with the Tana Kama of our Mishnah and rejects all the different sizes of holes mentioned earlier. In his view, regardless of the purpose of the window or the way it was formed, there is only one size in regard to tuma: a hole, a tefach square.